Venezuelans threaten to sue the Trinidad and Tobago government over its asylum policy. And in sport, the West Indies and Sri Lanka captains pleased despite a draw in their second test. I'm Ricardo Roberts, and this is Caribbean in 10 for Tuesday, June 19th. I'll be back with the details after the break.
Coming up this month on Caribbean Passport, romance, crop over in Barbados, carnival in Antigua and Barbuda, tourism issues, and so much more. So get your passports ready and let's travel.
Summer in the Caribbean is all about carnival festivals, and already several countries are preparing for their respective festivities. On Wednesday, St. Lucia launched its carnival season with a show called Epic Wednesday. Epic Wednesday saw performances from 2017's Calypso Monarch Arthur Elaine and last year's Soca Monarch King Ricky T. Also taking the stage was community and national carnival bands, Carnival Queen pageant contestants from around the island.
Two Venezuelan asylum seekers in Trinidad and Tobago are threatening to sue the government over what they say is the failure to make its policy for refugees transparent. Lawyers representing Carlos Jose Perez Arias and Maria Carolina Olivares Sahad yesterday sent a pre-action protocol letter to National Security Minister Edmund Dillon and Acting Chief Immigration Officer Charmaine Gandhi Andrews on the matter. Now, one of the lawyers, Darrell Alaha, said the letter stemmed from his client's concerns over the government's role in repatriating 82 of their compatriots in April and conflicting and evasive statements from officials over whether some of those were registered asylum seekers. The attorney said his clients are fearful that Trinidad and Tobago has and/or intentions to deny and/or frustrate and/or undermine their legitimate expectations as set out in the policy. Now, in the letter, Alaha requested that Dillon and Gandhi Andrews give written undertakings that his clients would not be deported while the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees was mulling over the final decision on the refugees' status. He's also seeking assurances that the government would not impose penalties against his clients for illegal entry until the determination of their applications and would only consider detention as a last resort. Alaha said that if Dillon and Gandhi Andrews fail to respond to the letter within 14 days, a lawsuit will be filed on his client's behalf, and consideration would also be given to converting the claim into a class action lawsuit to include all other asylum seekers in the Twin Island Republic. President of the Barbados Agriculture Society, James Paul, is concerned that the recently announced tax on water and sanitation could hurt the island's farmers. In her mini-budget presentation last week, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Mia Mottley told legislators that beginning August 1st, there will be a 50% garbage and sewage contribution levy on the water bills of commercial premises. And Paul says this levy will be detrimental to small farmers.
In poultry processing, in the area of, for instance, pigs, pig processing, water is a much used ingredient. Even in terms of vegetable operations for those farms, or especially we have homegrown gardens, where there are farmers in Barbados who do not have the benefit, especially vegetable farmers, of water coming from BADMC sources. In other words, they have to use the normal water coming from the BWA. It means that the cost of water for those agricultural enterprises will increase by a dramatic 50%.
Paul is calling for a meeting with the minister responsible for water and sanitation in an attempt to work out a special exemption. In Guyana, a new policy has been put in place to ensure teenage mothers have the opportunity to go back to school while receiving support at home and from their community. The policy manual was handed over yesterday by officials from the Ministry of Education and the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. Addressing the handing over ceremony, First Lady Sandra Granger called on the policymakers and educators to uphold and protect the rights of children and adolescent mothers who have suffered sexual abuse. She says the comprehensive health and family life education should be mandatory in Guyana's school system and should begin at the nursery level.
And I know also that some teachers are reluctant to teach it because they believe that if you teach sex education, we will have this orgy in the schools, which doesn't happen anymore. It all ties into teaching them to be responsible about themselves and teaching them to respect themselves.
Stay with us, your Midday Sport is next. The captains of the West Indies and Sri Lanka teams were pleased about their sides' performances on the final day of the second test yesterday. The match ended in a stalemate after the West Indies slumped to 8 for 2 early on and were clinging on at 147 for 5 when bad light drove players from the field at 5:05 p.m. never to return. Now, Sri Lanka captain Dinesh Chandimal credited his side for a good showing despite being denied victory.
Especially, credit goes to West Indies bowling attack. They have some really good bowlers. So, under these conditions, it's always really difficult to score big runs. So, I'm really happy where we played, but as a team, we have to improve more.
Now, during the Windies innings, opener Craig Brathwaite remained resolute with an unbeaten 59 and was accompanied by captain Jason Holder on 15. Shea Hope made 39, but no other batsman passed 15 as Sri Lanka's seam attack made repeated inroads. Brathwaite's innings became especially important as after partner Devon Smith and Kieran Powell perished in the fourth over of the innings, and he promptly put his immense powers of concentration on display in a knock lasting 172 balls. That's 4.5 hours, and including 6 fours. Captain Jason Holder was in high praises for his side's effort.
I'm happy, I think we played some reasonable cricket in this game. Probably not to our best. I felt the game in Trinidad, we were a lot more clinical with our performance, I felt yesterday it was a tough day in the field, and we weren't as consistent and disciplined as I thought we should have been. I guess that's in cricket as well, Sri Lanka played well yesterday. Their batters, deserve some credit. We had a few no-ball issues and got a few wickets off on no-balls, which really hurt us. But all in all, I thought it was a really good effort.
And that's Caribbean in 10. Join us again at 6:30 for Caribbean Newsline. Good afternoon.